Hey, Premier Investors, it's Adam Schrader here with another episode, the co founder and co CEO of Premier Turnkey. And I am joined today by Ryan Bradley. He is the executive director of the Pampa Economic Development Corporation. We're going to talk, you've heard us talk with Andrew in the past about kind of what his product is there. You might have heard him even talk about the area, but we figured, hey, let's go to the source and see what's really happening there. So, Ryan, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share our story.
Yeah, so you were born and raised in Pampa. A lot of our investors, I mentioned to Andrew during our first time, they might have done some research since the episode. They don't
Yeah.
know a lot about the area. So can you tell us a little bit about, I don't want to go into the future just now, but kind of
No, no, I
what's
understand.
happening there now?
First, welcome to the Panhandle of Texas. If you do a Google image search, you'll realize that we're really flat, and you might find a couple pump jacks, a lot of cattle, some roads, and maybe some water here and there. But what is underneath all that is a lot of gas infrastructure. And what's on top of that is a lot of flat land that's very reasonably priced, let's say. And so what it's done is it's positioned us in the current, let's say, data center boom, or the what's a good word for it? Just the demand that we're seeing right
AI
now.
overlord takeover?
Yeah, I mean, let me get my tinfoil hat. Anyway, no, what has happened is it has been all in the major cities and all the large metropolitan areas, and those are the grids are getting taxed out, and the people are kind of getting fed up, and so they're looking for opportunities in the rural communities. There's several articles about how they've migrated, outside of the large metropolitan areas, because fiber optics are an amazing technology and low latency you can get at a good distance now. So
Yeah.
yeah, I have a lot to talk about.
So as the executive director, y'all, you were kind of in charge. Y'all get together and formulate, not just what's happening this year, but we want to talk about what's happening, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. Y'all have to actually plan for that, right? Like, you know,
Yes.
5 years ago, the data center, 7, 10 years ago, the data center probably wasn't anywhere on your documents of this is going to happen to Pampa. So tell us a little bit about what Pampa's 10-year plan is now.
So let me tell you a funny story. Well, it'll start off as a regular story of the majority of the panhandle of Texas, and that is we were and we are oil and ag, and that has had its peaks and that has been stable. Um, but what happened in the 70s and 80s were these great growth cycles, and a lot of the surrounding towns peaked during those times. Right now, Pampa has a population of approximately 16 and a half thousand. But back in the day, we almost got up to 30. And so these towns and these communities were built around sizes of 20,000 plus. And then over the past 10, 15, 20 years, it's been a management of decline. Is the best way to put it. It is what it is. And so it's funny you ask about a strategic plan. I was previously one of the board members of our EDC, and then now it's been a year and a half, maybe two, no, a year and a half. I took over the role as the executive director. And before I took over, it wasn't me that did this, but before I took over, we were going in strategic planning, kind of what you were originally alluding to. And up until about that point, it had been, a management of the resources that you have. Making the best of what you got, always trying to go out and find something new. But it's a hard thing to do sometimes in the top of Texas where everything's flat and you can see the curve of the earth. So we put together a strategic plan. It took us, several months, and at the tail end of it, probably about a month, we hired a consultant firm to help us do it. And they went and surveyed the town. They did a lot of interviews, talked to all the business owners and key players. And probably about a month or two before it was due, um, myself and another board member got invited to go look at a data center, and go listen to a pitch, and we thought that was really cool, and so we had it added to our strategic plan, in the 11th hour before it was due. Come to find out all these things, right? And so, what the plan at that point, I mean, it still is, was to attract large, heavy industry. We previously had a large chemical company that worked here that employed, oh, I'm going to get this wrong on the record, but let's just say 300 people. It was a very large company. And, just like a lot of other small towns in America, it moved to China. Our jobs got outsourced. And, we had to live with with what was left. And so our town, sent our EDC out to go find, go look at data centers, go try to find some heavy industry, some, chemical processing, and of course, ag and oil. We're very strong in ag and oil up here already, but bringing any of that stuff in and growing those businesses are always good for everyone. And so that's what we started to do. So we went out and we started chasing these leads. And there's probably about 4 or 5 of those points that were the key points to it all. And what wound up happening is we started landing data centers quicker than we realized. The EDC previously had negotiations with another data center that unfortunately fell through, but we're moving on with life. It's okay. But the Intersect Meitner group, they were able to get theirs across the line, and they've actually started construction. And so now what we're seeing is this influx of people, money, workers, equipment into our community. And now we're all looking around like, oh my gosh, we caught a fish. Now what do we do? Right? And so I will say one of the cool things about going out and giving a pitch for our town is there was a lot of forward thinking individuals in our community. And whenever I would get to go out and, like I said, give the spiel, give the pitch, I was able to give site visits to potential clients, and our major arteries, our major roads, TxDOT had come in and they were working with us, and we were getting all those things widened out. There was some housing development properties that I imagine you'd be very interested in talking about later. That was starting to become a thing. Like they were very proactive and on the front end of a lot of this growth. And so being able to take site selectors out to say, hey, we're improving our roads over here, we're building new houses over there. Let me go show you the high school. And you go to the high school and there's a whole wing of it missing now because our town decided that it was time to, pass some bonds and get to work building a CTE wing and a new band hall and all these things. And so you see a town that has prepared itself for the opportunity when it arises, and I'll be danged if it didn't all happen, right? So we have the houses being built, we have roads being fixed, the schools getting all fixed up, and now we've landed a very sizable data center right outside of town, and you can go out there, and the ground has been turned. There are hundreds of people out there. It is actually real. Anybody that's lived also in a small town in the Panhandle has been, I'm not going to say burned, but the promise of something showing up, the promise of something being done. It's always a promise until it becomes real. Well, you can go drive about 10 miles outside of town and see that it is real. And so you can go to our restaurants that now are packed in the evenings. A lot of our entertainment venues are having to add days to their schedules to account for all the people, that are looking for something to do. The hotels are booked. It's all just it's all getting started. It's
And now all the
exciting.
Pampa residents are going to be like Austin residents, where they're like, oh, all these newcomers.
Well, we haven't had to wait through a light in our like we have one McDonald's, we have two Starbucks, mind you. So we're high living. We're trying to get to a Chick-fil-A. So anybody listening to this, please take my card. I would love to figure out how to get a Chick-fil-A. If anybody knows anyone, I'd appreciate it. But the joke being, we're gonna have to start adjusting to maybe sitting through a light. you know, in a small town, that's pretty much well unheard of. Um, but it's a very exciting time right now.
Yeah. So is a data center like this, is it a one-off? Is it kind of one of these, oh, we have one, now we can maybe get two, three, four? Kind of what's the, what, I don't know how, data center building is, if it's like clustered or if it's just, we have one and so the next one needs to be 50 miles away or 100 miles away, or what's that look like?
No, once you get one, they kind of multiply. They like to be close to one another because they all do business and interact with one another. So pretty much, well, once one establishes a foothold, you see them come up in clusters. So I'll leave it at that.
Are y'all is the city prepared for that, or is that more jobs that are going to have to come in to build it out, which could then obviously help the economy even more?
All of the above. All of the above. So there's going to be thousands of workers that will be showing up. There's already hundreds of here, but that's a magnitude off of 10. That's going to wind up. Um, and you can look at other communities that have had this experience, and some of them good, some of them bad. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, but the housing market especially has been an interesting thing to watch happen whenever you have this size of influx of people coming into a town. Um, the other thing I'll throw in there though is duration and time. So whenever these hit, they, the build cycle, I'm going to take a swag and say like 4 to 6 years, four on the low, six on the high. And then once you get one going, you hope that there's another one, and you just wind up through this ripple effect, so you can keep it going as long as you can. But there's going to be a high demand at the front end of it. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
What else you want to talk about?
So how is this? I mean, have y'all had to go in now and rewrite the 10-year plan? Do y'all have kind of a revised one, or is it now a 5-year plan, or kind of what are y'all
No,
hoping for now?
no. I mean, to be very frank, what we have done now as the EDC board is we are forming a committee within our community that will establish a 10, 25, and 50-year plan. One the I think the last one was written in the 70s, and I think I'm 50 years into it now. And so it's time to get going again at it. But the point being is this is going to be a moment in time where we get a lot of investment from everybody in all walks of life into our community. And we don't need to act like we won a lottery ticket and go buy a Lambo. We need to, fix the foundation, put on a new roof, fix the plumbing. We need to take all the infrastructure that we've been using and is adequate, but it's aging out, right? And at some point, you got to pay the piper. And now is that time where we're trying to start to get together as a community and identify, what are the immediate needs that we need to address today, and then where can we take these investments to set us up for a long-term success of 25 and 50 years out. Um, at the beginning, you asked who I was. I'm Ryan Bradley, and I was born here and I was raised here. I'm a Pampa harvester and a pride of the Pampa band member. And my kids will be third generation harvesters. My parents graduated from high school here as well, and we have an EDC board that is very much focused on the long-term future. And so I would love to say that that in my lineage, there's, fourth and fifth generation harvesters.
Yeah, you've got people who care and people who have skin in the game in this board.
Yeah.
So when people think, you mentioned kind of oil and ag from back in the day, people think
Hmm.
of those areas and it's, boom, it's bust. It's boom, it's bust. And, it just, my in-laws live out in the middle of nowhere, and sometimes it's, 5,000 people in their city. Other times there's, 1,000 people in their city, and you just never
Hmm.
know. Is it, looking at what y'all have looked at, is AI a boom and bust situation, or do people have to worry about that, or what are y'all's thoughts? What have you seen on that front?
Um, I will say the running joke that I have heard and now I am propagating, is the bumper sticker that says, "Please, Lord, give us another oil bloom. I promise not to, spend it away." Right? I want to go get that same bumper sticker on the back of my truck that says, "Please, Lord, give me another data center boom. I promise not to spend it away." Um, there is clearly a peak at the beginning of it during construction that has a, a big hit at the front end. There's no question about that. There is a short-lived, I say short-lived, I don't know what everybody's terms are. You talk to the ag guys and they're in hundreds and years and generations, and then you talk to private equity and it's quarters at best. And so I'm talking in terms of 4 to 6 years for everybody's reference. Like for 4 to 6 years, there's going to be a lot of movement in from it, and that's per data center. And I've asked the question, and this is another one for your audience. If anybody knows how many people stay after all the construction is done, because I asked this question, I haven't got a good answer yet. How many people stay when the construction is done? Um, and the best answer that I've gotten is, well, I don't know, but they need a job for them to stay. And so I agree, right? So now that we've landed a data center, the task now is to establish the buckets and the direction for the community, but then start bringing in all the supporting industries that come with it so that we can convert these temporary workers into long-term residents and have a stable economy, based on the support therein of running these. Um, because I am a nerd. I did get a degree in engineering. My license plate literally says nerd. Um, and the fear of data centers being obsolete, I never in my life have ever seen where computing power and demand has diminished. Things have gotten smaller, but the appetite has always gotten bigger. So, what it looks like 10 years from now, I have no clue. But I guarantee we're gonna need a lot more of it because that's just how these things go.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
for sure. So as we wrap up here, let's say I'm a data center. I've helped construct it. Maybe I've even worked in data centers, and I want to. And this, the construction is wrapping up. Give me the pitch that you would give to somebody to stay and live in Pampa and work after this data center is done.
I would first ask them if they've ever lived in a big city. If you've lived in a big city, just saying that your commute is going to go from an hour and a half down to 7, and that you get a village to help raise your children, is a sales pitch worthy. It's what got me. So, like I said, I was born and raised here, but I went to Houston. I worked offshore oil and gas for 10, 12 years. But when it came time to raise a family, I moved back to my hometown because I remember what it was like growing up where I walk into a restaurant, everybody knows me. you know, the good thing about that is everybody knows you. The bad thing about that is everybody knows you. And so whenever you're raising kids, it's wonderful to have a village help raise your children. The community and drive of a small community, just the parades, the events, the camaraderie. It's a very personable experience that you don't get anywhere else. Um, you can talk on the technicals of the cost of living here is lower than most other places. All your costs, all the financial things, is all actually pretty much in the positive realm when you move into a small town. But on the backside of all this construction and all these things that are coming, if we have done a good job as a community, then those people would have integrated into our community while they were here. They would have got involved. Their kids would have went to our schools. Maybe they joined a social group or a church. Maybe they found a bowling league, or they found t-ball a coach. And they get connected to it. So that is where the power of this comes from. Is while they are here, we need to embrace them, love on them, and make them part of our community. Um, just so our community doesn't, go the way of every other small town right now in the U.S. Like all of us have a choice to follow the trend down and go quietly into the sunset, and then some of us are given an opportunity to change that trajectory and make some greatness out of it. And so that's what we're trying to do in Pampa, Texas.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you put it there, I mean, the great part is when you think about the oil booms and busts, or when you think about
Yeah.
some of the things that come in, they're not there for very long, right? Like the oil
No.
cycle is only, usually a year or less, and you don't have a lot of time to get settled. With this, where you're talking about a 4 to 6 year build time for it, that's a long time. Like when you've lived somewhere 5 years and then it's
Yes.
done, your first thought isn't, well, I'm gonna move somewhere else. You've got some
No.
got some pretty
No.
serious roots at that point in time.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you might have gotten married. You might have even had a kid, or if you moved here with kids, they might now be, in the band, the choir, 4-H. They might be playing football in the high school, and it's now their sophomore year, junior year. You're not gonna want to leave,
They
right?
can't leave now. They have a goat.
Exactly, exactly. Who's gonna take care of the goat when I move to Houston?
Yeah.
No, but and that's our mentality. So I will say one of the other things is our community has been very open about receiving of all of
That's
this.
key. Yeah.
It's been very key, and there's a lot of good going on right now.
Yeah, there's
I'll put it
there's
that
a
way.
lot of if you haven't been to a small town, well, actually I would say 16, 17,000 people isn't really small. When I say small, I'm thinking like 2 or 3 thousand people.
Yeah.
Those communities a lot of times when opportunity comes up, they think, that's going to disrupt my life. I don't really like that. We're not going to do it. You think that's weird, but that is kind of the
No, it's very
mentality.
true.
So hearing that the community is actually embracing this is fantastic to hear. For people who haven't listened to the episode with Andrew, these are homes that we're selling that are in like the 210 to 240 range. Brand new construction, like Andrew said, there aren't many. Like the housing stock is usually 50 to 70 years old there in Pampa from the sound of it. So the new construction stuff is getting rented out quickly. The data center workers aren't making nothing; they're making good money out there, and
Hmm.
so they've got the ability. And like Ryan just said, the cost of living is low, so they've got extra money to spend. So you've got your rent covered there with these guys, and they're going to be able to afford it as they continue to stay there. So Ryan, any last words you want to throw out there for people, or what do you, anything else for us?
Man, you know, please come to town. Come see us. Come see what we got. There's a lot going on and there's a lot of opportunity. It is at the very beginning of it, and it is going to. I don't want to overhype it. I'm sorry if that's what's going on, but I'm very excited. It's my anyway. You found a very excited individual that's very passionate about this. Um, but everybody here is, and that's what's different. I can go talk to retirees, and they're excited about this. I can go talk to the young people, and they're excited about this. And so, what's great is you have a community that's embracing growth and change, and they appreciate like the new homes being built and seeing the new things come out. And there's a buzz about well, what's the next one? How's the big one? Blah 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 blah. There's buzz. It's awesome. And I can't speak for them, but I'm pretty sure that's exactly now how their story went or is going. Is now it's starting to work well for them, and it's all about timing. And we're at the beginning of something. So
Yeah,
yeah, give
fantastic.
me a call.
Yeah. Well, if you want to check out these properties we're talking about, you can head over to premierturnkeyREI.com. That's premierturnkeyREI.com. We have those there. They are the ones we have are rented, but like like Andrew said the last time we had them on, they're being sold to owner ocks as well. And these are people, kind of what we were just saying. They're coming in, they're there 4 to 6 years, they're buying a house. They're setting down roots, and so owner occupied rentals, everything you can have there. But we've got the brand new stuff there on our site at premierturnkeyREI.com. If you want to go visit Pampa, well, head on up to the Panhandle of Texas and see what they've got going on there. I'm sure that Andrew would be happy to walk you around. But make sure you contact us through our website at premierturnkeyREI.com, and you can get in on the front end of this experience. And remember, everybody, you can live how you want when you invest where it's smart.